Hello, I'm CJ Werleman, and in this episode, we reveal how Arab armies, Iranian-backed militias, and even bona fide terrorist groups can best exploit Israel's growing weaknesses and vulnerabilities. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. Israel has reaffirmed its objective to take control of Gaza, forcibly displace the territory's 2 million residents, and then replace them with criminal Jewish settlers, constituting an even bigger catastrophe than the Nakba of 1948, given Netanyahu's Greater Israel project promises to kill Palestinian statehood forever.
מי שמנסה היום בעולם להכיר במדינה פלסטינית יקבל מאיתנו תשובה בשטח.
One of the most censored stories in the Western media during the past 2 years is the genocidal attitudes of Israeli military and political leaders, in which they boast about killing 100 civilians per day while they take to mainstream Israeli television demanding the extermination of every man, woman, and child in Gaza.
להעיף אותם, להשמיד אותם עד האחרון בהם.
את מי להשמיד? את
כן, את הפלסטינים, את כולם. מה אני רואה?
אוקיי.
אין בן אדם אחד, אין עץ אחד, אין בית אחד, ואם הייתי יכול את הדגים בים, הייתי מרעיל, אני אומר לך ככה, בסדר? כולם אויב שם. הילד שנולד שם אתמול ברפיח,
הוא אויב?
ברור, הוא אויב.
No honest or moral person can expect the Middle East to peacefully coexist with Zionism, the same way nobody expected the European continent to coexist with Nazism. This footage not only shows what little remains of Gaza, but also provides a future glimpse of what's coming for the rest of the Arab world, if powerful states in the region, along with powerful armed militia groups, don't take a firm and defiant stand against Zionist imperialism. Instead, these Arab sellouts have lulled themselves into believing that doing nothing for Palestine will somehow save their respective regimes from Zionist aggression. The undeniable truth is Israel can only be contained, deterred, dismantled, and defeated by meaningful military force. The unpopular truth is that boycotts, condemnations, fits of rage, and even the occasional missile strike are not going to cut it. Certainly not when you're dealing with a criminal psycho state that's not only committing genocide and stealing territory, but also threatening nuclear attacks against its neighbors. Therefore, to mitigate the undeniable threat of this rogue and barbaric state, the international community must rally together and support military intervention against the Zionist occupation. There's a desperate need for the United Nations to invoke its doctrine, known as Responsibility to Protect, or R2P, an international norm that demands international military action against a state committing genocide.
After the world witnessed genocide in Rwanda and Bosnia, the UN adopted measures to hold governments accountable for the protection of their own citizens.
The doctrine of responsibility to protect, as you know, came out after the NATO intervention in Kosovo without a Security Council mandate. And at that time, Kofi Annan was posing the question, when is it legitimate for like-minded countries, NATO in that case, to step up to come and protect civilians without having the Security Council approval?
The R2P standard, as it's known, is pretty basic. It says that when a country is unwilling or unable to protect its citizens from mass atrocities, it is now the responsibility of the world community to intervene.
Sadly, R2P will never be invoked against Israel, certainly not while the United States enjoys veto power on the UN Security Council, therefore underscoring the urgent need for a reformation of the United Nations. But if we accept Israel must be attacked militarily to prevent the total erasure of Palestine and Palestinian life, then we must also accept another sobering reality, that Israel, with relative ease, savaged Hezbollah, pacified Iran, and neutered the Houthi militias in Yemen. Although that in no way suggests that military intervention against Israel is a hopeless cause. Certainly not after Hezbollah exposed a glaring chink in Israel's armor, specifically its air defense systems. And what's most interesting here is that CNN accidentally and unwittingly revealed a blueprint for defeating the Zionist state, when it reported Hezbollah's execution of a deadly drone strike against an Israeli army base deep inside Israeli territory in October of last year.
Moments after impact, elite Golani Brigade trainees struggle to save lives. The worst of the wounded whisked away to nearby hospitals by helicopter. Others taken by ambulance, medics swarming to the IDF base, 40 miles from the front line in Lebanon. Within hours, the toll becoming clear. 4 dead, 8 others seriously injured, making it the deadliest for troops outside of combat zones since October 7th.
That one drone, launched deep within Lebanese territory, was able to penetrate Israeli air defences undetected before slamming into a military base housing members of the Zionist army's elite Golani Brigade. This should truly terrify Israel. It proves the Zionist state is not keeping pace with the fast-changing face of warfare in the modern age. Because when we take a close look at Hezbollah's drone operations against Israel, and then combine that knowledge with lessons learnt by the Ukrainian military via its resistance operations against the powerful Russian military, we see a clear blueprint for attacking Israeli occupation forces and from literally thousands of vantage points throughout the Middle East and the Mediterranean. Ukraine has demonstrated how a small dog can defeat the biggest dog in the neighborhood via the innovative use of easily purchased over-the-counter aerial drones. Start of 2022. Russian leaders predicted that the Ukrainian capital would fall within 72 hours due to the overwhelming discrepancy in military and economic power between the two countries.
Будет воевать. Эта война продлится, Володя, ну максимум 3-4. Там некому будет против нас воевать. Володя Зеленский сразу трухнул и ребята.
Ми не здамося і не програємо. Ми підемо до кінця, ми будемо боротися на морях, будемо битися в повітрі, ми будемо захищати нашу землю, якою не була ціна. Ми будемо битися в лісах, полях, на узбережжях, у містах і селах, на вулицях, ми будемо битися на пагорбах, і ми не здамося.
Nearly 4 years later, Kyiv still stands, with Russian forces bogged down along the front line that straddles eastern Ukraine, or what has become infamously known as the meat grinder, as Russian casualties climb into the high hundreds of thousands, draining Putin of soldiers, weapons, and treasure.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is furious. A few months ago, he ordered a massive summer offensive that was supposed to see Russia steal huge swathes of territory away from Ukraine. That hasn't happened. Instead, Russia's forces are bogged down and failing to advance, and there's a clear reason why that's happening: Ukraine's drones. Ukraine's superior drone warfare is stopping the Russian offensive cold, as Ukraine has gone to the next level with its drone warfare capability.
Ukraine's monthly drone production has surged nearly tenfold in a year, from just 20,000 per month at the start of the war to more than 200,000 per month today, with drone attacks now accounting for 80% of all Ukrainian resistance activities, resulting not only in the destruction of advancing Russian invaders, but also a staggering 10,000 armoured tanks.
Just look at how the equipment explodes in hellish flames on the mines. At the same time, Ukrainian kamikaze drones are launched and join the strike. Everything is burning. A complete failure of the assault. From the drone's perspective, through thick smoke, you can clearly see the track systems blown off. No need to even mention the crew.
Ukraine's revolutionization of modern warfare reached peak effectiveness in June of this year, when it deployed 117 drones against 4 strategic military sites deep inside Russian territory, a full 4,000 kilometers from Ukraine's borders.
On Sunday, Ukraine has successfully pulled out a surprise drone attack that destroyed 41 Russian military aircrafts. The attack, which hit multiple locations deep within Russian territory, has been dubbed as Russia's Pearl Harbor by some commentators online. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky praised the security service for the brilliant operation. Ukrainian officials said that they loaded up drones into wooden sheds near the perimeter of the impacted air bases. The sheds had remote-controlled mechanisms to pull back the roofs and allow the drones to launch. A Ukrainian official, who spoke on condition of anonymity to AP, said the attack was planned out for over a year and was supervised by Zelensky. The operation has destroyed 34% of Russia's fleet of air missile carriers, with damages estimated at $7 billion.
If Israel is to be defeated, then it will take the same kind of innovation, imagination, and ingenuity that Ukrainian resistance forces have developed and deployed against their Russian invaders. Aerial drones have become the most effective way to bring a more powerful enemy to its knees, with each drone costing no more than $150 each, which means they can be purchased by anyone and launched from anywhere, forcing Israel to spend $150,000 for every Iron Dome interceptor missile fired at a single $150 drone. The United States faced this same missile dilemma in its recent attacks against the Houthi militias in Yemen, prompting forgettable memories of George W. Bush, who once told a group of US senators that he's not going to fire a $2 million missile at an empty $10 tent to hit a camel in the butt. For Israel's enemies and victims, however, cheaply purchased aerial drones provide the ultimate low-cost deterrence.
With the conflict set to enter a third year, who wins the crucial battle for drone supremacy could decide the outcome of the war.
It's totally a game changer. War is always about mathematics, it's all about expenses. Something that is costs like several $100 completely explode something that costs millions.
This reality is not lost on Iran, which recently launched 100 kamikaze drones at Israel in response to the unlawful bombing of its nuclear sites. But what's important to understand here is that Iranian drones inflicted significant damage against Israeli military targets, despite fewer than 100 drones launched and despite Tehran giving Tel Aviv and Washington, D.C. advance warning of the attack.
Jonathan, good evening. I do want to start with some breaking news. Israel's top military spokesperson just announced that Iran has launched 100 drones at Israel. It will take them a couple of hours to get here, and likely, as we have seen in the past, they could be coupled with some sort of missile fire. But this is the first part of what we expect to be a multi-pronged response from the Iranians following these Israeli strikes overnight that came in waves, targeting Iranian nuclear facilities.
If Israel can't fully defend itself from 100 aerial drones, then it has no chance against a swarm of 500, 1,000, or even 10,000 drones slamming into the country simultaneously. Drones could become Israel's greatest nightmare, the same way they have bedeviled Russian occupation forces and the Russian homeland.
August 10th, 2025. In the Kharkiv region, a Ukrainian fiber optic FPV drone struck a Russian UAZ carrying infantry. The soldiers tried to get out of the vehicle, but it was already too late. The Ukrainian Signum Battalion struck 2 Russian soldiers in the Lyman sector. A soldier targeted by a drone in open terrain fought the drone for a while, but after a long chase, the drone operator hit the Russian soldier with the drone.
The final thing to consider here is that Hezbollah and Iran are far from dead and buried. Last week's visit by Iran's top security chief to Lebanon underscores the strong political and strategic ties between the two sides amid heightened regional tensions. Therefore, there's little doubt the use of aerial drones will soon become a feature of all future resistance and deterrence operations against the Zionist state. And there's also every reason to believe that drones will eventually change the balance of power in the Middle East. Watch this space. But that's my time for today. Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe to this channel. And we kindly ask you please support our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWerleman. We can't produce, sustain, and grow this show without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.